Hello, Ben.
Hello, Chris. You don't sound like
Oh,
you're by your grill today.
I'm not. I'm not on my grill. I'm sitting on my front porch, actually.
Ooh, live from the front porch. I'm sitting here at my desk. So,
Well, we all can, I guess,
but
enjoy good
my
outside.
window's open and the afternoon sun is streaming in.
Well, there's that. Do you have a nice breeze, or is it air conditioning?
It's nice and air
Set a nice,
conditioned.
set a nice, I guess, word picture for our listeners.
Uh-huh. It's
Or
all about painting the imagery. Well, this is a another minisode, so we're going to try to keep our rambling to a reasonable length.
okay,
Uh, we're going to talk again about some recommendations that we have, stuff that we've been into lately,
right.
whether that's
So did,
reading or listening or watching, some sort
yep.
of pop culture or history interaction that we want to talk about.
You want me to go first?
Go for it.
I was going to recommend today Marvel's Wolverine. It is actually a podcast.
Oh,
I don't know if have you heard of this?
no.
So Stitcher and Marvel apparently got together and produced a podcast called Marvel's Wolverine. They're on their second season. It's very much more adult themed, so I wouldn't, of course, sit down with my kids to listen to it. But it's very good. I'm on the second season on the fourth episode. I think you can go to Stitcher or go to Stitcher Premium and like binge everything, but I'm kind of cheap, so I don't want to do that. So I'm waiting for them to come out in installments.
Is it
So it is.
a mini series?
It is. It's at. I forget how long the first one was. I think the first one was like 10 or 12 episodes, and it kind of follows. Well, the first one it followed Sentinels chasing after Logan, and you only kind of meet Logan a few times in the end. Um, this one very much follows Logan as he searches for one of his girlfriends. They kind of bring back some of the elements from the first season, so there's kind of some continuity there. But yeah, it's very interesting. It's a lot more fun. I don't know much about Wolverine because I actually haven't read a whole lot of X-Men or Wolverine comics.
Mm-hmm.
So it's most I know about Wolverine is from those Fox movies and the great cartoon from like the 1990s. But it's a very entertaining show.
That is an awesome recommendation. I'm looking on here, and it looks like they're coming out with season 2 at the
I
moment.
think
Is that correct?
the season 2 is being streamed, so I'm in the middle of it right now.
Gotcha. It's subtitled, or I guess this current season is subtitled "The Lost Trail"
That is correct. Yeah.
in the Louisiana Bayou. Wow. I have some long drives this week, so I'll definitely put an
Yeah.
episode or two
You,
on there and check it out and
you
see
can
how it
binge the
is.
first season and then start on the second.
Awesome. Good recommendation. And it is actually a recommendation.
This is an actual recommendation instead of me just bombing on Cormac McCarthy classics.
So I'm gonna trade places with you. Last time, last time you had that, and I had a nice, happy, interesting recommendation. This week, I'm the one with the sort of like artsy thing that I want to talk about that I'm not sure that I can recommend.
Uh-oh.
Uh,
Then it'd be like a regular thing.
I could do a regular thing. I don't know. I trying to decide here which one I want to do. What if I read you a list of things and you pick one?
And okay. How
Uh,
many do you have?
like 4.
You couldn't make a decision on which one to talk about.
Well, no, I just figured I'd wing it on the air.
Okay.
So
Well, If it was just 2, I'd tell you do them both, but I think 4 may be too much for us.
4 is definitely too much. So I watched Midsommar.
Okay, yeah.
Midsommar is a movie that just came out this year. It's a brand new movie. I watched it. It's kind of a horror film, I guess you could say. Folk horror is the subgenre.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's a very interesting little niche. And in the wake of that coming out, they re-released on streaming The Wicker Man, which is a 70s horror film starring Christopher Lee. It's an English film about a small village on an island that has some very scary pagan traditions.
They made a remake of it, starring Nicolas Cage.
Yes, they did, which I have not seen.
I've not seen either one either, so.
But I had watched the 1970s version of the Wicker Man, and I enjoyed it. It's a very thought-provoking film about this policeman who's a Christian, very adamant, devout, pious kind of Christian, and he goes to this pagan island and he's trying to see that justice is done, basically, and he's constantly butting up against these pagan forces of evil, led by Christopher Lee, who's amazing. So it was a very good movie. Both of these movies are definitely not movies to take the kids to. So I went to see Midsommar, kind of coming off that wave, and it was kind of like The Wicker Man on acid.
Wow.
It's very there's some psychedelic elements to it. It's got a great cast. It's really well acted, very suspenseful, really suck you in kind of story about this girl who's in the middle of a relationship that's kind of breaking down. Her sister and parents are killed in a murder-suicide perpetrated by the sister, and she just takes off with her boyfriend to go to this ancient village in Sweden.
Okay.
And things escalate as they do in horror film. I'm glad I watched it. I think if that's a genre that you're interested in, you should probably watch it, because I don't think folk horror is a very commonly produced subgenre. I can't think of very many films that fit into that classification, but if you're not particularly interested, or you're of a particularly sensitive nature, I wouldn't recommend Midsommar. It's very dark. It's not one of those films that wraps up with an easy conclusion. It's kind of an ambiguous ending, I'll say, without giving away anything.
Right.
Yeah, a very interesting film, but very very strange.
Doesn't sound like a movie I'd really like.
No. Probably not. But I mean, I spend too much time watching old movies, and I lose track of what's happening in the movie scene of today. So it was good for me to get out of my comfort zone and watch something different. And it definitely is very thought-provoking about about morality, I guess, and about how we can contextualize the way things as culture. Well, that's their culture, this or that. But I think it reiterates kind of a need for moral standards. It's a complex and interesting work, but very heavy. Probably similar to Blood Meridian. So if you're of the nature where you're looking for something really thought-provoking, and you like the heavier stuff, then I would recommend it. But otherwise, I would say stick to other fare. So yeah, the other options that I had that I watched / read was I watched Rush Hour with Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker.
That's a very big switch. That's a fun movie.
Yeah, I actually watched both of those movies in the same day.
Wow, that's a very bipolar selection there.
Yeah, that was the double feature, the strangest double feature of all time.
Alrighty.
And then I watched Life Force, which is kind of back to the dark side.
Life Force?
Life Force. Life Force is a 80s movie directed by Tobe Hooper, who directed Poltergeist and the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Right.
And it's based on a novel called The Space Vampires.
Okay.
Which I've heard is a decent novel, but the movie is just kind of all over the place, wacky.
Yeah.
So I couldn't really recommend that one either. Interesting, but wacky. And then I read William Shatner's memoir about Leonard Nimoy.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, maybe I should talk about that instead.
It sounds like you have had a very full week of thought-provoking culture.
I have. I've had a lot to think about.
Yeah. Alrighty.
If you have an interest in hearing more about some of the other items on that list, I'd be happy to tell you what I thought about them or discuss it on the air here. Just write us an email, popstorian@gmail.com. Send us a tweet.
Or go to Twitter or Facebook.
Yep. What's our Twitter handle there?
Is at Popstorian.
There we go. And also on Instagram.
We are on Instagram now. Oh, yes.
And on YouTube. I've started uploading episodes of the podcast to YouTube.
Yeah, so check us out on multiple social media sites.
We're everywhere.
It's a movement.
We're like the common cold.
Or pop culture.
Well, thank you for joining me, Chris. Thank you for joining me, listeners. And we'll see you next time for another minisode.